Our culture is very warm. We're very values driven as well. There's that deliberate effort to create a good balance between having warmth in the team, but at the same time still being very professional, where people understand that they must be responsible.
If you do a good job and it's really good, but your client services is not really that great, people wouldn't refer you. So, and also how you manage your team. So for your teammates or your workers to be willing to put in the time and the energy required to create any successful project.
Customer satisfaction. There's a job that I knew about that they were doing. The client was not quite satisfied. They had to go back to the site and incur further losses to ensure that the client was satisfied. So once you're interested in ensuring that the client is satisfied, I'm sure that people around want to trust you because they know that you would give value.
I can come to work every day knowing that I'm meant to come to the office in the morning by 9 and by 6 I have to leave. But if, for example, a project comes in and at the beginning of the project, we understand that, okay, you know what, for this particular project, these are the things that are important to the clients. This is why we need to maybe do this number of details. This is why we need to approach our presentation in this particular way. So when everyone understands the why, right, when it gets to a particular point that it's banking on just one person to deliver, maybe other team members are engaged in other things, because the person working on it at that particular time understands the why, right, he knows what to look out for, or she knows what to look out for, because we know what quality we have to give to the client. We know why the client wants this. We know why we have to go the extra mile in this direction.
We're also very big on being ethical, having very strong ethical values, having very high level of integrity is very key for us.
Integrity is one key aspect that the firm looks out for when they are trying to recruit staff. And it has helped the company such that we can rely on anyone who is representing us.
It's an ingredient that's lacking in most businesses in Nigeria. It's not just businesses, in people's lives, right? It's very painful because if we only have this value across the country, Nigeria will be a better place. So in Kelechi from day one, I saw somebody who wanted to do things right. Right? So integrity by definition, right, is being true no matter what part, right, of you is being tested, right? It's wholeness. So that when somebody is sliced and diced in many parts, each part, right, is authentic, it's true. And so in Kelechi, in contracting, in conversations, in engagements, in relationships, right, I saw a young man who was himself, he was true, right? And when he disagrees with some candor, some politeness.
As an individual, what he stands for, professionalism, character, he's a fine gentleman. So, I think a lot of these characteristics, he transferred it into his company when he started it, Podex as we know it today. And Podex is not a far drift from the individual itself and what he as an individual portrays, which is professionalism, character, competence.
And faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, faith in who he is and the ability to achieve his objectives. Then the quality of work. And that is something I believe many young aspiring business people should learn. It is not enough to pray. It's not enough to have faith. Because faith without works is dead, as we know, right? You can say I'm putting in Bible verses because that connects Kelechi and I. But truly, I told you I introduced him to Union Bank. I never had to intervene or get involved in Kelechi's work thereafter. For the years he worked with the bank as a contractor. His work spoke for him, right? His integrity, his quality, and I'm sure he wasn't giving bribes. He wasn't taking care of people so they could give him projects. Kelechi's work spoke for him, and the firm's work, because he was using people also, right? Which told me he has been able to infuse those qualities in the people that work for him, because if you are building a firm and you're growing and the people you work with, right, are compromised, you will fail, right? So the ability to say these are the things that hold us together as a firm, you are able to transmit that to those that work with you, and that sticks, right, is the foundation for success. And so when I see those in Kelechi and the work they've done in Podex, right, I think the firm will go places.
Podex is very strong with ethics. Podex is the place where integrity is key, accountability is also key, productivity is key, and then collaboration is also very key. So, and Podex has done their bit to ensure that these values are kept. And I would say that has also shaped my leadership approach, trying to ensure that the team I lead also keep those values. And we know that for every success we've achieved is because we've kept that value.
We're big on communication and we've leveraged so much on it. Shortly after I joined the company, COVID struck and work still continued, and that strengthened our communication skills as individuals and as a company as well.
Architecture is not just an art, it's also a science. And you are designing in a context. Buildings are designed in a context and for specific requirements. So for a building design to be said to be excellent, it should meet the functional requirements of both the client and the context in which it's being done.
There's a project I was doing, a private project, and I spoke to a lot of architects about that project. Speaking to all of them, some of them were my classmates in secondary school, some of them are people who I met on the way, and all of that. When I spoke to all of them, I realized that Podex was actually exceptional. Their commitment to excellence sets them apart, and I think it's something that they shouldn't joke with.
Podex is a place or is a community of people that try every day to be excellent at what they do, in terms of skills, in terms of character. And I think what that has also contributed to the success and the longevity of Podex.
The company name itself, Podex Associates, actually does mean products of design excellence. One of our key focuses is ensuring that we put out excellent design, and not just in terms of the design looking flashy or trendy, but both in terms of aesthetics and functionality.
Podex as a whole, also on our team, we're very big on capacity building, because if you don't know something exists, if you don't have an idea of what currently exists, what are the standards, what are the industry-leading techniques, what are the different trends that are available, it's very difficult for you to say you want to innovate in a particular direction. So making sure you're constantly building up capacity, making sure you're constantly trying to make sure that your skill sets, you're improving on them, you know what is possible, and then you can now push the boundary of what's possible. So capacity building majorly, research, development has been the major thing that we focus on in Podex.
You meet people of character, of people that are highly skilled, humble, and teachable, people that come in every day and willing to learn. So I think that mindset has kept Podex a lot. Always seeing a way where others don't see a way. I think it still falls back to that vision, that visionary role of the leadership.
The motivation for me was to be able to give back, and I saw in Kelechi somebody I could work with in fulfilling that objective. But sustaining it was something of him, right? Sticking with those principles that attracted him to me, right? It takes two to tango, right? Yes, I want to give back, but there are multiple people I could give back to, right? But Kelechi himself and Podex has remained a firm I'm definitely pleased to be associated with.